Yeah. First time going live in quite a while. We'll see if we get anyone in here. We got someone. That's good enough for me. One person is good enough for me. All right. Welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Season. And welcome to episode 145 of the WMA Report, the not so regular show where we go over everything going on within the world of women's mixed martial arts, news, previews, reviews, you name it. We usually try to go over it. Not going to be covering any news tonight. Trying to keep this one a little bit short. But we do have a lot of fights to talk about and a couple of discussion topics I want to go over. Tonight's big thing's going to be, as you can see in the picture, Stomp versus Hom is tomorrow. We'll be going live for the event. Talking about Michelle Waterson. Is she done? And if we get a little bit of time, we'll talk about, how fair was the draw between Shevchenko and Grasso in the second fight. Let's get into first things first. Let's talk about the weekend review. I don't have a banner for it. Okay. We're going to go all the way back to, it doesn't want to bring it up. So let me change something up real quick here. Just a little change up. All right. Last Monday, was Deep 115th Impact, aka Black Combat, I think 7 or 8, aka Deep versus Black Combat 2. A literal, this is the most true co-promotion you could have between two promoters. You had the Japanese promotion in Deep and the Korean promotion in Black Combat, which is becoming a social media giant. They held one, excuse me, they held an event before this, and Black Combat won, I think, 3 out of the 5 or something like that. And then they decided this time we're going to hold another one. It's going to be in Japan on Deep's territory, and we're going to have, I think it was three titles on the line. Yeah, 3 titles on the line, including the atomweight, the Deep Jewels atomweight title. So Saori Oshima was defending her Deep Jewels atomweight title, but get this, Shi-Yun Park, the newly crowned Black Combat atomweight champion, her title was on the line too. So whoever won this fight was leaving with 2 belts. And I'll admit, I thought this fight was going to be a wash for Saori Oshima. I've seen all of Shi-Yun Park's fights before this, and I had never been impressed. She was okay. She could strike, but she didn't really seem to have much of a ground game from what little I saw. And she came in at 4. Look, her pro record at the time of the fight was only 4-3. Hadn't fought much in a while. And like I said, her competition wasn't that stellar. So I thought Oshima, the Deep Jewels atomweight champ and Deep microweight champ and winner, multiple time winner in Ryzen, was just going to walk all over her. It was the complete opposite. This was a major upset. Park came in with the perfect game plan and the perfect execution, managed to stay on her feet pretty much all 3 rounds, except in the 3rd round. And when she went to the ground against Oshima, she, excuse me, she defended submission attempts, stayed on top, and threw some ground and pound. It was a perfect game plan and a near perfect execution of it. She went in there knowing exactly what she needed to do to beat Oshima, and did it. Serious upset. Now, I will say, this was Park's second fight at atomweight. The first fight was winning the black combat belt. So she was coming down from strawweight. So she had a bit of size on Oshima. Not a whole lot. You see there, only 5'1" to 4'11". But I think it does show that Oshima is going to continue to have trouble against, bigger fighters who can stay off the ground against her. But yeah, major upset, and Park ended up going back to Korea with not only the black combat belt that she came there with to Japan with, but she went with the Deep Jewels atomweight belt. And she's already had like 2 or 3 fighters from Deep Jewels and Ryzen calling her out, saying they want to fight her. What's up, EZE? It has been a while. All right, so we can close that. I hate this. I hate this changed. Anyway, we go to last Tuesday to the Contender Series. We had a draw between Talita Alencar and Stephanie Luciano. Alencar went to 4-0-1. Luciano went to 5-1-1. Here's the thing, though. Luciano on the left there in the red got signed. Alencar won the first 2 rounds using her ground game, but much like, excuse me, like so many other almost pure BJJ fighters, she ran out of gas by the 3rd round. And Luciano just beat the crap out of her in round 3. Luciano not only stopped every takedown of Alencar, who was exhausted, but she beat the crap out of her so bad that all 3 judges gave her the 3rd round 10-8, allowing for the draw. And then because she showed that spirit where, like, even though she was down, she knew what she had to do and tried to do it, that Dana White ended up signing Stephanie Luciano. So it was a draw, but Luciano got the contract. No, that's not it either. Where's tonight is not going the way I wanted it to go. Now I got to do another thing. Let me see. Present. Off screen. Present. Can you tell I'm rusty? Can you tell I'm a little rusty, guys? Hey, Brian Williams, how you doing? All right, so we move to Bellator 299, Eblen versus Edwards. This was last Saturday over in Ireland, so the fight started in the morning. First fight was in the strawweight division. Mackenzie Stiller, defeating Kiara Penko via unanimous decision after 3 rounds. Stiller climbed to 2-0. Penko fell to 8-4. Gonna have to. I haven't seen this one yet, so I'm gonna have to watch this because I want to see what Stiller did against Penko. Penko's never been a particularly great fighter. I think the only reason Bellator keeps her around is to fill spaces on the European shows. It's not that she's a bad fighter, but I don't know why Bellator keeps her around in a division that they don't have at strawweight. other than to fill cards. I wouldn't mind her seeing her in like maybe Invicta, but I don't know why Bellator keeps Penko around. And we had a bit of an upset up on the main card at featherweight. Sarah Collins defeating Sinead Kavanagh via what was it? Split decision? Yeah, split decision. Collins climbed to 5-0. Kavanagh fell to 9-6. You know what? It's nice to see Bellator get some new blood in their featherweight division. Like if you're going to well, first off, we don't know what Bellator is going to do. It seems like they're about to be sold. But if they're going to keep going, and if they're going to keep the featherweight division going, they need to sign new fighters. They need to sign new blood. And it's going to be hard with PFL also having a featherweight division, and they're promising $1 million grand prize at the end of the year. But Sarah Collins looks to be legit, beat the much more experienced Sinead Kavanagh, and excuse me, went toe-to-toe to her, or toe-to-toe with her for most of the fight. So it wasn't a bad scrap. It was a good scrap, too. Close that. Bring the pictures back up. This is getting to be annoying. Okay. So we move to Saturday night UFC fight night. Fiziev versus Gamrot. Had 3 ladies bouts. And a couple of new bantamweights started off the night. I mean, Tamiris Vidal had 1 fight before this in the UFC. But Monster Rendon came in, making her debut, defeated Vidal via split decision after 3 rounds. She stayed undefeated, climbing to 6-0. That's her on the right in the green. Vidal on the left in the yellow fell to 7-2. Wasn't a particularly good fight. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say, oh, yeah, this is a good fight when it wasn't. But wasn't I wouldn't say it was a terrible fight. Like, it wasn't a good fight, but it wasn't terrible. But the good thing is, listen, after what seems like several years of the UFC not signing new bantamweights and just letting the division like languish and being stuck in limbo, like Brian Wmma was saying, Bellator's in limbo. The bantamweight division was in limbo for a while because they had no new blood coming in. Now the UFC finally bringing in new blood. Rendon is one of the new ones. Not a bad fighter at all. Looking forward to seeing what she can do. And Vidal might bounce back in her next fight. Looking forward to seeing what she does too. Because she had a heck of a knockout, excuse me, in her UFC debut. What? I should have tested. Now I know. Sorry, y'all. I'm losing a lot of patience tonight. I'm going nuts here. Because it seems like none of the pictures that I picked up want to work on the stream. So let me bring up. Should just leave it on Tapology, but I don't like doing that. All right. Second fight of the night was in the strawweight division. Mizuki Inoue returns for the first time since, I want to say 2019, and defeated Hannah Goldie via decision. Inoue climbed to 15-6. Goldie fell to 6-4. What can I say about Hannah Goldie? Like, imagine having all that muscle and it's only good for your fetish pics on OnlyFans. Like, I've never seen someone who is so yoked like she is, but have zero functionality for that muscle. Meanwhile, Mizuki Inoue comes in there looking kind of soft, and she's just muscling Goldie around as much as she wants. Not to mention, outstriking her. I forget how badly it was. Good to see Mizuki back. But we'll see how good she does in the future. But it is good to see her back. And Goldie, it's like, just get rid of her. I mean, she's what? She has one win against Emily Whitmire back in 2021. That makes her what? 1-4 in the UFC. Yeah, just cut her. She actually won on a Contender Series, which just goes to tell you that ought to be a great example of the quality of some of the fighters that get signed on a Contender Series. Because Goldie got signed back when the talent level was generally higher than it has been lately. Anyway, up onto the main card. Man, this was just sad to watch. Marina Rodriguez, I mean, it was a good... No, from a violence factor, it was great to watch. But just as a longtime fan, it was sad to watch. Marina Rodriguez defeated Michelle Waterson Gomez via... Excuse me. I didn't have a cough all day, and then I go live, and suddenly I got a cough. So my apologies for that. Anyway, Marina Rodriguez defeated Michelle Waterson via TKO, 2:42 of the second round. Rodriguez climbed to 17-3-2. Waterson fell to 18-12. Good win for Marina Rodriguez, and it keeps her up there in line in that title contention, possibly. Let me see the rankings right now. Bring the rankings up. She's down to number 8, and I don't think she should be that low. Yeah, I don't think Marina should be down there at number 8. Waterson is now out of the top 10 completely. And let's be honest here. She shouldn't be fighting ranked fighters anymore. Waterson's time as a contender is done. Like, if she wants to keep on fighting at almost 38 years old, she doesn't need to be fighting contenders. She needs to be fighting like the prospects. She needs to assume the gatekeeper role if she wants to keep on fighting. Here's a problem. She has not evolved as a fighter in a long time. Like, she stopped evolving as a fighter a long time ago. And that's due to training at Jackson Stink. Like, Coach Stinklejohn, no fighters actually get better under Mike Stinklejohn. No fighters whatsoever are getting any better at that camp. Like, there was a time, like, when Greg Jackson was running that team, man, they were producing killers. Now they're not producing anyone, and the fighters they have are down the drain. And granted, that usually goes in cycles for most teams. Like, I mean, there was a time when Miletich Fight Systems was like on top. There was a time when Team Quest was on top. There was a time when Black Zillions was looking pretty good. But now, Nobody's doing any good out of Jackson Wink anymore. That's just sad to see. It's just sad to see with Michelle Waterson, because I've been a fan for over a decade. Well over a decade. And like Easy E says, she's always been undersized in the UFC. She always talked about not being able to make atom weight anymore. I think had the UFC brought in atom weight, she'd have made the weight. It's just that her last fight at atom weight, she did it on short notice, and the weight cut almost really affected her badly, and she lost badly. Plus, as soon as she got to the UFC, she started bulking up and getting thick with 2 C's. So, yeah, I don't know if she'd ever make atom weight now. Yeah, like Brian Williams said, she ain't making atom weight no more. She's thick. Yeah, with 2 C's. Yeah, it's just a sad result, honestly. Let me see. So let me stop that screen real quick. That takes us to Tuesday on the Contender Series. This fight was at, I believe, flyweight. Yeah, this is at flyweight. Carly Judy's coming in on fairly short notice, replacing what was her name? Sora Rachmanova, Shavkat Rachmanov's sister, against Ernesta Karaskate. Anyway, this fight set records. Legitimately set. I don't know if it counts for the UFC records because it was DWCS. But the number of strikes thrown and landed in this fight far exceeded the previous record. I forget who had the records. Might have been Aaron Bronstetter on Twitter had them, but he put them up, and it was amazing. This blew the old record out of the water. Kara Kate won the fight via decision, split decision. Dana White signed both of them. He said this fight was so phenomenal. He had to sign both of them, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. When you see a performance like that from both fighters, it's hard not to. I mean, they lived up to what you're supposed to present in the show. This is one of the weeks when it's oh, he signed 2 fighters. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not even mad because the fight was that good. It was an absolute barn burner, fight of the year contender. So I'm not even mad. And I have not liked this season of the Contender Series at all because it's just ruining the point because he signs every fighter every week or every winner every week. But this has been good. This was good. This was worth it. So that is it for the fights, the fight reviews, weekend review, which is more like a week and a half. And I do want to take a minute to talk about the recent ranking updates in the UFC. Bellator updated their rankings too, and that Collins girl that beat Kavanaugh ended up moving up ahead of her. But I want to talk about the UFC for a second. Ooh, nice. I don't have to share. Nice. Okay. So Look at these. Excuse me. Look at the state of the strawweight division right now. They removed, I believe they removed Tisha Torres for inactivity, and they removed someone else too. I can't remember who. But man, look at the sorry state of these rankings. Tabitha Ricci at number 10. She has no ranked wins. No ranked wins, but she's number 10. They just moved her up past Amanda Hebos, who at least has some wins over fighters who are ranked. Angela Hill and Godinez both got moved up 2 spots because Waterson fell down to number 14. Carolina moved in last week at number 15. Same time as Godinez did. But Godinez and Hill both moved up 2 spots because of Waterson moving down. And Ricci, for some reason, they moved Hebos and Ricci. They switched spots. You know, I've been arguing against people saying that the flyweight division has surpassed the strawweight division. I've been sticking up for the strawweight division. I don't think I can anymore. When you look at the state of the flyweight division versus the strawweight division, there's no real contest anymore. There's none. Now, you might look at the flyweight division and say, well, Lauren Murphy's still at number 7. That's pretty bad. And it is, but it's not like Lauren Murphy is just out there losing to everyone either. I mean, I can pull up a record. 16-6. Her only recent losses since 2019 her only losses since 2018 are to the champ or the former champ in Shevchenko and then Jessica Andrade, who's a former title contender. Now, Amanda Hebos and Jessica Andrade, neither of them should be ranked there right now because both of their last fights, I believe, if I remember right, were at strawweight. I don't think you should be ranked in 2 divisions. But Cortez has been doing good. Look at the bottom of the rankings. Araujo's on her way out. Jennifer Mai's on her way down too. Natalia Silva just beat Andrea Lee, who has now been completely removed. Crini Silva's on like a 3 or 4 fight win streak. O'Neal's still doing good. And then you look at the top and it's like, oh, all fighters who have fought within the last year and have been doing pretty good other than Chikagian. Then you look at like some of the top ranked in strawweight and it's like, okay, Carla Esparza just had a baby. Congrats, by the way, Cookie Monster. Yan Xiaonan's doing good. Suarez, I wouldn't have Suarez ranked this highly right now because her only win is over number 5, Jessica Andrade. And that's her only win in like 3 freaking years. That's her only fight in 3 years in the division. And all of her wins, previous wins, were so long ago that they have like no bearing on the current division right now. Oh. Okay, so Hebos' last fight was at 125. Then she should be ranked at 125 and not 115. So we'll make that clarification. Lemos just got embarrassed in a title fight. Andrade just lost her 3rd straight fight. Didn't Verna Jandiroba just lose or no? Is she fighting? I can't even remember. That's how tired I'm getting. There's so many fights anymore. It's hard to keep track of them all. Oh, Verna canceled her bout against Suarez. That's right. And she got knee injury. Dern is about to fight. What's her face? Andrade. That's going to be a good one. Yeah. Like Easy E said, 125 is the glamour division right now. So, yeah. Excuse me. So, yeah, rankings, strawweight's not looking so good right now. Let's catch up on some chats after I get a drink. Easy E earlier said Japan always coming up short in these co-promotion type deals. Yeah, they're not doing because that's they took major L's against Black Combat twice, and including I think all 3 title fights. Yeah, all 3 title fights went Black Combat's way in the second time around, and then they lost to always coming up short against Bellator, basically. Easy E says Luciano and what's her face? Alencar. Neither one of them should have been signed. Yeah, she didn't look good. She more like basically pulled a Kat Zingano, where she was losing for 2 rounds, and then her opponent ran out of gas, and then she beat her up. Which a Kat Zingano is basically just a Homer Simpson. Let's see, missed those fights. Like Brian said, Bellator is in limbo right now. I mean, they still have events planned because they have like Bellator 300 is like next weekend, and they already have 301 planned and 302 scheduled. So like they're going forward as if nothing's happening. Yeah, 135 in the UFC is wide open. Yeah, we don't know what they're going to do with the title, which I wish they would just make up their mind. I don't know what they're waiting on. Brian said Monster Rendon is okay, but nothing special. Yeah, I agree. Vidal is no gas tank and less than average fight IQ. Well, most people who get a lot of knockouts in the first round and stuff don't have that great of fight IQ. They're just used to having their way early and easy. UFC is bringing in new blood, but no one overly exciting. I thought Island Perez might do something, but so far she's more bark than bite in the UFC. I mean, she's 1-1, and wasn't her first fight up against like Norma Dumont or somebody up at featherweight. Her next fight's against Lucia Pudilova, which I'm pretty excited about. Always fun, happy to see Pudilova fighting. And we'll see how good she does there. Still waiting for Goldie's failed USADA test. Yeah. And then she has Henry Cejudo's body with none of the skill. She's tall. Yeah, she is built like a wrestler, but she's not a wrestler. She's just like a bodybuilder. Marina damn near killed Waterson. Yeah, she did. Looked like Ivan Drago versus Apollo. Oh, come on now. Don't be doing my man Apollo like that. Let's see. O'Neal coming off a loss to Maya. Yeah, that's right. Fighting Lipsky next. Yeah, that just got announced. I got to make a video about that. Verna beat Marina in her last fight. She's been injured since. That's right. Marina Rodriguez had a couple. She had like, what, 2 straight losses going into. Yeah, she had 2 losses going into the Waterson fight. Dang, I forgot about the Lemos loss. Was like right before that, too. She made me so mad in that Lemos fight. Perez's first fight was Egger. Right. Egger? Was it? Right. She got choked out in the second round against Stephanie Egger. And then she beat Ashley Evans Smith via decision. That's right. We'll see how. Okay, so lost to a not so good fighter, beat a barely active fighter, and only went to decision against her. We'll see how she does against Pudilova. No, you were right, though. All right, so let's talk about this weekend's fights. Oh, you got to be kidding me. All right. Another picture failed to load on the full screen thing. So let me pull. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, this should work. Sorry for all of the technical difficulties. Learned my lesson. So tomorrow morning, One Friday Fights 35 goes down 8:30 a.m. on the East Coast of the U.S. Free on YouTube, live and free. excuse me, live and free on YouTube. Opening bout is going to be Atomweight MMA. We got Jenna Lynn Olsen on the left there, taking on Gian Shadowcat Radwan on the right. Olsen coming in at 6-4. Shadowcat coming in at 8-3. Both ladies coming in off of a loss. Olsen lost to Mung Bo 9 months ago via TKO, and Radwan hasn't fought in a year. Her last fight was last September. Dropped a decision to Stamp Fairtex. Yeah, that's another. That's another one. I'm gonna remember. I have to remember that. Stamp talking shit on Ham. Okay, let's see. Olsen is a year older at 26 to 25 for Radwan. According to Topology, she's 1 inch taller at 5'3", 161 centimeters to 5'2", 157 centimeters. She has a reach advantage, though, at 65 inches, 65 centimeters to 62 inches, 62.6 inches, 59 centimeters. I'm going to go with the Shadowcat Radwan on this one. Olsen definitely has a worse record at 6-4. And I mean, I'm not going to hold the Mung Bo loss against her because it only lasted 24 seconds. But I mean, none of her wins in one championship stand out. I mean, she beat B. Nguyen via decision, Julie Meza Barba via split decision, went to a split against Meza Barba, lost to Ritu Fogat. Whereas Radwan at least had a nice 3-fight winning streak going into the Stamp fight. I mean, she She beat Itsuki Hirata via split decision. Beat Mei Yamaguchi, which granted Mei was already on a downhill. She also beat B via decision. It just seems like the quality of fighters that Radwan has lost to were a higher quality than generally than the fighters that Olam has lost to. So I'm going to go with the Shadow Cat on the right hand side there to pick up the win. Then we move to tomorrow night, One Fight Night 14, and the current plans are to go live for the entire event. As far as I know, like usually SCMP MMA does like live streams for one if no one else is, or I mean if they're not at the event or they can't make it to some of the events, but they are there today or they're in Singapore, so they'll be live for it. So I currently plan to go live. One Fight Night 14, the main event, interim atomweight championship. I'm not going to talk about the other fights because they're not MMA. I'm going to stick to the main event. Now, I did do a full preview on this fight. It's less than 10 minutes, so after the stream is done, if you haven't watched it yet, please go check it out. Got Stamp versus Ham for the interim championship, which is vacant, of course. Stamp coming in at 10-2, Ham coming in at 26-8. Stamp, excuse me, riding 2 wins coming into this. Defeated Jihin Radwan a year ago, and then beat Elise Anderson back in May in the U.S. via TKO. Of course, before those fights were the loss a year and a half ago to Angela Lee. Ham riding, what is it now, a 9-fight winning streak? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-fight winning streak coming into this fight. Let's see, all of her wins in one championship, all 3 of them coming via decision. But beat Denise Zamboanga twice, and then Itsuki Hirata 6 months ago was her most recent bout. Here's the big thing here. Big difference is going to be the age. Ham is 36 years, 6 months, and 3 weeks, whereas Stamp just turned 26 years old. 26 years and 2 days. 10-year age difference. And when you're 36 years old, that is the wrong side of your 30s. Height's supposed to be identical. I mean, maybe she was wearing thicker shoes or something, but Stamp did look a little bit taller than Ham at the official weigh-in or the ceremonial weigh-ins. According to Apology, Stamp has a slight reach advantage, like basically an inch of reach. 63 inches, 160 centimeters to 62 inches, 157 centimeters. So it's no secret that I'm a Sahi Ham fan. Day one fan of Ham. I'm going with Stamp because of the youth factor. Youth factor and just the way that one scores fights. And I said this in my preview that, yeah, it's, excuse me. It hasn't looked like Ham slowing down from what we've seen in our fights in one. But you never know when that's going to change. And meanwhile, you got Stamp. One championship's whole fight scoring really favors Stamp's style because she is more than capable of big, flashy moves and creating big moments in fights. And that's not to say that Ham doesn't do those types of things. She's capable of doing it. But that's Stamp's whole thing. She's a flashy fighter with big strikes and big moves. And that's what the judging favors. So I'm going Stamp via decision. So I managed to put my bias aside. I'm picking Stamp, but I'm cheering for Ham. Like the whole time, I'll be cheering for Ham. But it's going to be Stamp via decision. I don't think she finishes Ham. If she does, that'd be amazing. But at the same time, even if she wins, it's like, okay, but you beat her at the end of her career. So we'll see. But it needs to be a good win, too. Like, it can't be like some early stoppage. So is that it for the weekend? Yeah. Yeah, that's it for the weekend. So just a couple quick discussion topics because I don't want to go too late tonight. It's already after 11 o'clock. Michelle Waterson, is it time to retire? Gotta think it is. Kind of think it is. I mean, you went from a former champion Invicta, made her way into close to title contention in the UFC. She's been in the UFC since 2016. Let me look that up here. Made her UFC debut at the Ultimate Fighter 21 finale in July of 2015. So she's been in the UFC for 8 years, and she's been fighting as a pro since 2007. So, 13 years? 14 years? 10 plus 3 plus 16 years. She's been a pro for 16 years, and she's nowhere near title contention anymore. And she's like nowhere near title contention anymore. So then you have to decide, like, are you going to take that Donald Cerrone path where you're just going to keep having fun fights and collecting checks? Or do you retire and walk away while you still have some dignity? And that's not to say Donald Cerrone retired without dignity, but he wasn't looking too good his last few fights. If I were Waterson, I would just take the time now to bow out. Because if you retire against Rodriguez, you retire against someone who's still in the top 10 after losing to someone who's still in top 10 and was very, very, very recently in title contention. So there's no shame in that loss. Even though she got the crap beat out of her, there's no shame in that loss. But if you stay in, you're barely in the top 15 now. You're just hanging on. Like Easy E said earlier, Waterson hanging on to being ranked by a pinky finger. So do you stay now and risk more losses against fighters you would not have lost to just a few years ago? And basically become like the gatekeeper or like the fight? Do you become the fighter that they match up against, the Contender Series fighters, to get them a named win? Or do you retire, take what the dignity that you have and retire? I would take the opportunity now to retire. Don't be the fighter who becomes the name on a Contender Series or Contender Series fighter's resume, which Marina Rodriguez was, but she was like season 1. That was when it was actually a good show. So yeah, if I were Waterson, I would take the opportunity now to retire. Take what dignity you have. See, she's done analysis. She's done work at the analysis desk before during shows. Not often. See if you can build on that, or see if you can build on that into like doing the same thing, but for like maybe smaller shows, or even try to work and get commentary gigs at like some other like smaller shows, like the regional shows. Like that doesn't pay a whole lot, but it does allow you to stay around in the sport, and it'll still keep your name out there, and you can do like seminars. Like when you travel around to the different events for the regional shows, you can schedule seminars and you can make money doing that. And you're still in the fight business. You're just no longer actively fighting. So, yeah, I think that's actually a very good career path for Michelle Waterson at the end of her career. So, yeah, I think that's what she should do. And go ahead and retire, Michelle. No shame in ending your career on this loss. Let's take a look at the chats. Brian says it was time 2 fights ago. He'll miss those kicks, though. Easy E says she's basically one of those fighters that the UFC keeps around because she has a large fan base, not because she's good anymore. Legend privilege. Yeah, I mean, she does have a very dedicated fan base. Like, it's not enormous, but it's dedicated. And Brian says she's always been a company girl, never said no to a fight. That's true. I have no idea why they made the fight with Marina. They should have fed Luana Pinheiro to Marina. Yeah. And I would have picked Rodriguez. And the funny thing is, the loss the fight before the Rodriguez rematch was, I believe, Waterson versus Pinheiro. And she probably should have won that fight. Like, that decision probably should have gone her way. She's not good at octagon interviews, but they love her at Invicta. Invicta would take her back in a heartbeat. Probably. Like, she doesn't want to work there. Or, like, don't want to fight for them anymore. Like, because why would you? It doesn't pay. But yeah, they'd probably like have her do like backstage interviews or something. It's better than hearing Megan Anderson, guys, I'm here with your winner. You know what? I'm gonna skip the Grasso and Shevchenko talk tonight. I want to do that on like its own thing. This fight just got announced. This fight has me genuinely excited for some reason, but maybe because I have like a microweight obsession anymore. I don't know. But Satoko Shinashi, well into her 40s now, and like I think over 40 fights. Yeah. Let's see. She is 46 years old now, has 45 fights into her career. She's going to be taking on Shinashi Chiisai. What's her actual last name? Minagawa. I'm excited for this. Can't explain it, but I'm excited for it. These are like two of the tiniest women you could possibly match up against each other. Okay. Which also just happened to be Kyoka's last fight too. But Shinashi is listed at 4 feet 10 inches, 140 centimeters, or 147 centimeters, on Tapology. Kyoka is, I believe, 4 feet 9 inches, 145 centimeters. 20-year age difference, by the way, because Kyoka is only 26, whereas Shinashi is 46. So this should be an easy win for Shinashi, at least on paper. I mean, she has vastly much more experience, much more skilled than Kyoka. Kyoka is still young in her career, and she's mostly a brawler. Shinashi can't strike for crap, though. But she's very good at getting close and getting the fight to the ground and then attacking from there. And Gyoka did basically lost her last fight. Got choked out. It was scored a no contest because her opponent missed weight. But yeah, she got choked out like real fast in the first round against a fighter who's not on Shinashi's level. So this should be an easy win for Shinashi. It's a bit of can crushing, but I'm in. Like, I will watch this. This is going to be a deep 1/16th Impact on November 11th, which is, I think, a Saturday. That's a Saturday. It's going to be in Tokyo, and it will be on YouTube, but you have to be a member of Deep's YouTube channel, which is like $13 a month, something like that. And then you get to watch almost all of their live events for free, plus all of their older fights. Or excuse me, once they put like the individual fights up, they keep them locked behind membership now, or at least for a little while. I can't wait for this fight. I'm excited for it. No, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just am. Oh, final note for tonight. I would love to have talked about PFL 3 or PFL Europe 3, which has 3 ladies fights this weekend. But they dropped the ball, and there's no way to watch it in the U.S. None. Apparently, the fight's going to be on DAZN, but it's region blocked, and VPNs don't even work on DAZN. And I have a DAZN subscription, which drives me nuts. So even though PFL has a deal with ESPN in the U.S., and even though DAZN is available in the U.S., and I have subscriptions to both, PFL completely dropped the ball and failed to secure distribution rights for the U.S. for this Europe show. So I'm not even going to bother talking about the fights, because if there's not even at least an option to watch them, why waste time talking about them? Because there's no way to watch them now. And I'm really mad because these 2 fights are, I believe, in the semifinals of the flyweight tournament. And I was hoping to see Dacheva versus Cornelia Holm in the finals, but we got it early in the semifinals. Manuela Marcanetos, always in fun fights, and she took this fight on pretty short notice against Scatizzi, because I forget who Scatizzi's original opponent was, but she dropped out. And then Chanel Dyer is like 2-0 with 2 knockouts. So this was going to be her PFL debut against, Luisa Cifuentes. Can't even watch her 3rd fight now. So can't even talk about the damn fights. I mean, I could, but why waste the breath? Other than to say PFL is a shit show. It is. It's an absolute shit show. It doesn't matter if it's PFL Europe or if it's PFL US. Their production is crap. Their setup is crap. Everything about PFL is crap, except for the fights. They put on genuinely good fights for the most part, but it is so hard to watch them. Like, they are such, everything outside the fights is such a garbage product that it makes me not want to watch the fights most of the time. Like, I don't understand how you can be that bad. Like people like to crap on Bellator. PFL is worse. PFL is worse than Bellator. The only thing that is keeping PFL afloat is all the freaking money that they've been collecting from hedge funds and donors, and now they got Saudi money. Now they got Saudi money backing them. It's like, clearly the Saudis don't care about having a good product, because they wouldn't have given money to PFL. They'd have bought out Bellator. Meanwhile, it's Bellator that's about to get bought out by PFL. At least that's what it seems like. So a better product is about to get bought out by an inferior product. Drives me up the wall. My God, I hate PFL so bad. They deserve to fail, and yet they failed up because they just got like what, $300 million from the Saudis. They're going to expand and have like a Middle Eastern version now. Plus, they're talking about having PFL Africa, which we'll see if that ever happens. I mean, Saudi investment for a garbage product drives me nuts. Easy E says, I'm going to stream PFL Europe illegally. Well, if you find a way, let me know. At now WMMA on Twitter, at NOW WMMA on Twitter. DM me, let me know. I mean, no, don't stream illegally. And definitely don't let me know if you find a stream. Do not do that. Okay? Brian Williams finds that pretty funny. All right. I hate to end on a sour note, which it seems a lot of my streams do. Probably why I don't stream as much anymore. That and all the work involved. So yeah, first WMA report in a while. No Judy V tonight, which is a little disappointing, but thank you to the two chat warriors and the other people that are just lurking and not chatting. It is time to get out of here. So, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, and I hope you already did, please hit that thumbs up button. That drives the algorithm and gets the stream noticed a little bit. If you haven't yet subscribe to WMAC Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Current plans for tomorrow are to do a fight companion for One Fight Night 14. I'm going to wake up. I don't have to be at work till like 10:30 tomorrow, so I will wake up to watch Friday fights 35, so I can watch Radwan versus Olam, and then gonna try to the plan is to do the full card for One Fight Night 14. Might only do the main card because the main card is all women, and that would fit in more with the vibe, but probably gonna have to start with the prelims to try to maximize the crowd or maximize viewership. So we'll see. Thank you for watching, Brian. Thank you. Anyway, that's it for tonight. If you're watching on a replay, leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching WMAC Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. This felt good, so time to start going live more often, I think. So we'll see you tomorrow night.